Hi guys, welcome back to another video. As promised guys, I did a clip on express entry with my bestie here, and I promised you guys that I would come back with the full video. I don't want to tell you guys what happened to the one that we did before. Anyhow, you know how technology is, guys. So today I'm here with Dionne, and she made her way to me, and I'm so appreciative of this, guys, because she sent me a message earlier, and I thought she was sending me a message to tell me that she can't make it again because she's so busy. She is super busy, and she's always busy, but that wasn't the key. So we're here today to talk about Canadian immigration facts and those kind of stuff. But before we go into the video, guys, don't forget to subscribe, to like, to share the video with someone that this video might be of interest to. And don't forget to also comment on the video as well. And I will be posting your information down below for you guys, immigration laws and stuff like that. Or if you have a sponsorship, that you have a husband or a wife or a girlfriend or boyfriend that you're filing for, whatever the case may be, and you're looking for an excellent immigration consultant, I will be posting your information down below. So Dionne Samuels, I am going to ask you to briefly introduce yourself to my people.
Hi everyone. So my name's Dionne Samuels. I am a regulated Canadian immigration consultant and I am a licensed paralegal. I am also partner at our firm Samuels and Smith LLP in association with SILPRO, which is Samuels Immigration and Legal Services. And I'm excited to be here today with your host, Sharon. Thank you for having me.
You are welcome. It's an absolute pleasure. I can't tell you how appreciative I am that you took the time out of your busy schedule to come and do this for me and for my people. You know, it's information is good, you know.
Oh yeah.
But the first thing I wanted to ask you was, what are some of the most common things that you deal with on a daily basis, being a immigration consultant in Canada? Guys, she's also a paralegal, but we're gonna have to do a separate video on that one. So yeah, but ignore the ringing in the back. Go ahead, guys.
So
Go ahead. Sorry.
when it comes on to immigration, I deal mainly with spousal sponsorships, study permit applications, and express entry. So express entry is for people who are trying to immigrate here permanently. And it covers classes such as federal skilled workers, federal skilled trade, Canadian experience class. There are the day-to-day consults where people are asking, just random questions or just trying to see what's the best possible pathway for them to get here, whether it be permanently or temporarily. And then you have people calling around from one immigration firm to another, trying to see where they can get guarantees. And as mentioned in the clip that Sharon had posted, if you go to an immigration lawyer or an immigration consultant and they're guaranteeing you any specific outcome, it's definitely a red flag. That's one of the first things actually that it's something that every consultant and lawyer knows. You never offer guarantees, right? You don't know the outcome. What you can do is you can say to your client, listen, I think you have an 80% chance or a 90% chance of this application being successful. I am going to do the best I can. I'm going to put your application together so it's attractive. It shows that you meet the requirements, or maybe you supersede the requirements, right? But again, if anyone's guaranteeing you anything, run. The other important thing is most of the people, or I'll call them consultants, but they're ghost consultants. Most of the people who are guaranteeing specific outcomes, they're what we call ghost consultants. So they're telling people that they're consultants or lawyers, but when you look them up, they're actually not.
Wow. Interesting. I didn't even know these things were going on.
Oh yeah, it's a big thing.
But my next question to you is, how does one find a reputable consultant?
Okay. So as per the act, right? The Immigration Act, the people that are legally able to represent you when it comes on to immigration applications, immigration law, they are immigration lawyers. So lawyers,
Right.
In general. Any profession governed by the Law Society for whatever province. So in Ontario, the Law Society of Ontario also governs paralegals. But that's a whole other debate that's going on right now, because the act says that paralegals can represent you in immigration, but the Law Society of Ontario actually is saying paralegals should not be representing anybody for immigration unless you have your immigration consultancy license. And then that leads us to the third set of people who are immigration consultants. So if somebody comes to you and they're telling you they can represent you in immigration, you need to ask questions such as, are you an immigration consultant? Do you have a license? Are you a licensed paralegal? Do you have a license? Are you a lawyer? What's your license number?
Right.
And go and look them up. And if you can't find them, run.
Because there's a difference between the two. There's a difference between an immigration lawyer and a immigration consultant. Is in this sense, is people might feel like being with an immigration lawyer might make your chances of your file happening faster, quicker, but that's really not the case,
not
right?
true. It's not the case at all. And to be honest, it doesn't matter if you're with a lawyer or a consultant. When it comes on to the processing time doesn't change.
Right.
It's going to be dependent on situations such as, do you have history with immigration? So do you have a UCI number? Have you ever applied, right? When was the last time you applied for anything at all? That is also going to determine, depending on the application, do you now need to go and do biometrics? Obviously, like if you need to do biometrics, that adds to the time. If you don't, then you skip a step, right? Do you need to get a medical done? Did you have one done recently for whatever reason? If you don't need to do a medical, it speeds things up, right? I would say the pro of getting a immigration lawyer or a consultant is that you are having someone who is trained in immigration law put together your paperwork, your application in ways that you really couldn't have. And I'm being serious about this because the everyday layperson thinks it's all about filling out some forms and that's it. And that's when the rejections come.
Oh, yes.
Because you miss out on the legal requirements. And then when you get that denial letter, you're like, but I didn't know I had to prove that, right? If you had hired an immigration consultant or an immigration lawyer, they would have known the legal requirements, and chances are you would have been fine.
Yeah, and sometimes like a T is not crossed, or an I is not dotted. When you do the application and they send it back.
And you know what, guys, for the purposes of this video, I am going to be transparent. So when I just started out, one of the first applications I did, I caused a delay. And I'm telling you, that delay was based on me forgetting to sign a use of representative form.
Oh yeah, it's something as simple as that.
Things like that. The client had signed, everything was done. So the client is literally saying to them, listen, I want this person to be my representative.
Right.
And I was in a rush that day, packed everything up, put it in the application, because it was a paper application, put it in the envelope, sent it off. My signature was missing, and they sent it right back. And this was like a month and a half later.
Wow.
So
typically,
that file was delayed a month and a half because of a simple signature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, proud to update that application went through,
Yeah.
right?
Yes!
But just, simple things like that. So
Yeah.
it's very important. Hire someone who is licensed.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try to what we call, cheap out, because it's going to cost you either more money or more time.
Yeah, thanks for being so transparent, and thank you for that, because I'm in groups where I see people get their application sent back because they decided to do it themselves, because for whatever reason either they don't want to pay for a consultant or they just don't have the money to do it, because I mean,
It's
consultants
expensive.
are not cheap, they're expensive.
Yeah.
And especially if you want a good one, they're not cheap, and it's dependent as well on your situation.
Yeah.
So there's some situations that are harder than some, and some that are pretty straightforward. So these people tend to think they can do their applications themselves, I find, and those are the ones that sometimes come back.
Yeah, and you know what? It's interesting mentioning the pricing aspect of it, because there's a certain city in Ontario where you can get people to do your application starting from $300.
Wow.
$300 Canadian, and I can tell you hands down, I know people who do this, and they're not taking the time to do your application properly, and they're not putting in that extra work that a lawyer or a consultant is actually supposed to do. Yeah. They're simply filling out the forms just like you would. So you get what you pay for.
Oh, 100%.
So yeah. Be careful shopping around saying, oh, I can get it for $300 or whatever. Go right ahead. But just something to be cautious about.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That is a very good point. I would not be dealing with somebody that says to me that it's gonna cost $300. No, I would be running. Yeah, but thanks for that. So there's students that would love to come here for school. It's not, I know the process seems to be very easy, but it's not a cheap one.
Yeah.
What do they, for somebody out there that's probably in Jamaica or Morocco or wherever, somewhere, that's looking to come here for schooling, what is it that they need to have?
So you want to come here as an international student. Before you even get to the immigration aspect of things, you have to first get into a school. And that school must be what we call a DLI, which stands for a Designated Learning Institution. So I get calls from people and they're like, oh, I'd like to do my study permit. And I'll say, okay, do you have an acceptance letter to a school already? Right. And sometimes they'll say yes, but then when I get the acceptance letter, it's not a recognized school. It's not a DLI.
Wow.
So that would be the first step. So if you go on the Canadian immigration website and you type in designated learning institutions, there's actually a list of universities and colleges that qualify as DLI. So you want to start there. You want to get accepted into your program of choice. And then after you have that acceptance letter, then we get to the immigration aspect of things and we do the application. So when it comes on to the study permit, the study permit falls under a temporary residence category. So now what that means is even though you're going to come here, you have to prove to Immigration Canada that you're admissible to Canada. So you have no criminal background. You have no health issues that's going to be a burden on the system, or you're not going to put anybody else at risk.
Right.
You have to show them that you are financially capable of taking care of yourself and your dependents if you're going to bring them with you while you're here. And you have to show them that you're going to go back home. So this is, go ahead.
But what if you're, I don't know, 19 years old? How do you show them you're going to go back home?
Well, you show your family ties. You show your family ties, right?
Okay.
So, you have mom and dad back home. That's awesome. Yeah. You use the ties of mom and dad. paint a picture of, you're able to go back to mom and dad because they're able to care for you when you go back home until you go into a job, right? You'll be comfortable. So there's no need to, as Jamaicans would say, like, run off here, right? Yeah. So lots of things to consider and lots of things to prove when it comes on to the requirements, and it's not just for study permits, it's for every category.
And I, from what I get to understand too, you have to have a certain amount of money to even start the process, because I think you have to prove this
that's the financial aspect
before you actually get accepted.
So not necessarily for the school, but definitely for the study permit aspect of it. So I personally, when I'm doing study permit applications, I usually tell my clients I need to see 27,000 Canadian or more. I might risk it with 25. I don't like doing it. But 27. If you have 27,000 Canadian, guys, and you want to come to Canada as a student, get my information below and reach out.
Yes, please. Yeah, we have all different countries that are actually people that have actually subscribed to my channel, so the entire world is actually seeing this. Yeah. So the last thing that I wanted to ask, because we can't make these videos too long because YouTube people don't like to watch long videos, is this thing was trending when we just did this video, and we never got to post it, so I decided to just go back and revisit it again. We spoke about express entry, and guys, what I'll do is I'll put the link below. If you didn't see that video, I'll put the link below so you can go ahead and watch that, because that's very interesting as well, on learning how to come into Canada using this kind of do you say system using this kind of system. So the final thing that I wanted to ask you was the big trending topic the other day was the fact that Sean Fraser, who is the immigration and refugee minister, opened up this huge thing of these Caribbean countries and African countries coming into Canada without needing a visa. But then we found out that it wasn't as straightforward as that, because there were fine prints. Like, for example, you had to have had a Canadian visa before that had expired 10 years ago, and you have to have an American visa. So there are people that weren't qualified. And then there were countries, I found out after that, didn't really watch the news properly, and they went to apply for it and didn't get it. But what are your thoughts on Jamaica not being on this list?
I mean, that was the first thing that jumped out for me, because I was waiting on the announcement, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, Jamaica wasn't on the list. I won't get into the politics of it. I won't get into the politics of it. I will say it was very disappointing.
Yes.
And I'm not so sure how many people actually benefited from it, given the fine print. So, like, how many people actually had a visa before to come into Canada, right?
Exactly.
So
not many.
I think this was just a way of clearing the backlog or to help with it. So example, let's say I had a previously expired visa, right? So now instead of me having to go and do a whole new application, bear in mind there's already a backlog from COVID and then the strike. Remember they had the strike? So that just took a few applications away from Immigration Canada. So then they were able to deal with the other ones, right? So I think that's what it was. Still disappointed that Jamaica wasn't on it. But
as Jamaicans, a lot of us were disappointed, but we're not going to get into the politics of that. So,
well, you know, something interesting that came out was that so usually if you're out of the country, outside of Canada, I mean, your temporary resident applications are usually processed in your home country.
Yes.
Well, what they actually started doing around that time was they would send these applications to various offices.
So I heard that.
Yeah. So I have an agent who's based in Jamaica, and we were getting visas that were issued from Mexico.
Wow.
Yeah. So they were just sending these all over just to clear the backlog.
Yeah.
So it was just a part of the process.
Okay, okay. Well, that's it. I think we've covered pretty much everything. And as I said before, guys, we will have to do another one on the paralegal side of things here in Canada because that's a totally different ball game. But I want to say thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Taking the time out of your busy schedule to come to do this with me today. I don't know why the devil is trying not to get this video done, but you know, Satan, you lose. But guys, yes, I'm super, super happy that we got this done today. And thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and to share the video. And you'll see more of Kim and I, that's her pet name, as they say in Jamaica. You'll see more of us doing not so serious videos in the near future. Once again, take care, guys. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for having me.